and welcome to Seasoned and Smart. My name is Rachel Pennellatore, and I'm the Quality Assurance Specialist for Greater Lynn Senior Services. This month's topic is libraries in our community, and with me today is Jen Inglis from the Nahant Library. Welcome, Jen. Thanks
Hi.
for being here.
Thank you.
So I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do with the Nahant Library.
Sure. So I've been in Nahant for almost 6 months now, and I am the library director, which means that I do a little bit of everything. I do all of the administrative work, like payroll and scheduling, all of coordinating programming and planning for the future, and there's a lot of boring behind-the-scenes stuff, and then I also get to work at the desk and talk with patrons and plan for the future.
And can you tell us a little bit about the history of the building? We took a tour over there. It's original architecture. It's very old. So tell us a little bit about how it got started.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Nahant had a library back in 1819. It was one of the first towns in the state to have a library. And the building we're in now was built and opened in the late 1800s. So the doors opened in 1895. And almost all of the building is originals, where we have the original walls, we still have original chandeliers and tables and chairs and all of that kind of fun stuff. So it's a gorgeous building, high ceilings. The stacks where the books are kept have a glass floor and iron ends of the bookcases, and it's just stunning. So it's a gorgeous building, and people come to see it all the time just to see the building.
Yeah, that was definitely my favorite part of the tour, is climbing the iron staircase and walking the glass floor, seeing the
it's
stacks.
so cool. And at the ends of the stacks, you can look down to the floor below you, which is uncomfortable for some people who might get dizzy, but it's awesome for those of us who can stand that, because it's so cool to see 3 floors of books all the way down.
Yeah, the bookworm's dream. So.
Yeah, right. Somebody called it said it was like a treehouse. Was that you?
Yeah.
Because the top floors are all wooden, and I thought that was a really neat way of describing it, especially for somebody who loves books. It feels like you can tuck away and hide for the day.
Yeah, especially on a rainy day.
It's awesome during a rainy day because it's an old building and it's kind of cavernous in certain spots. We don't have really high-powered lights. So when it's stormy or it's dark, it's really kind of a cool space. It's a little spooky, but I like that.
It'd be a nice day to hide away during a storm.
Yeah, exactly.
So besides just the architecture and the feel of it in the reading room, what are some of the sort of services or programs that happen at the Nahant Library?
Sure. Well, we do the traditional stuff where we have tons of books. We also have magazines and movies, TV shows on DVD. We have large print books. We have some local newspapers, children's materials, young adult collection. So we're trying to keep up with popular materials in the library, as well as maintaining a good, solid book collection. We do some programming. The Friends of the Nahant Public Library do some musical shows every year that are hugely popular, and we also try and do some adult programming every month. We do some kids programming every month, and we're just really trying to get people to come into the library who maybe haven't in a while. We started a book group a couple months ago that alternates monthly between evening and daytime, where we get together and talk about books. We don't read a book and then discuss it, but we just talk about books. And I think so many of us just love to read that that's going to be a nice format when people hear about it more and get to come. So everybody who watches this should come over and do that book group with us.
Yep. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah,
so what are some of the plans for the future? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, in terms of programming, I'd like to see us do more of what is common in most libraries in Massachusetts now, which are sort of informational and educational workshops, how to use e-readers, how to apply for jobs online, how to use a new computer or tablets are huge now. So those kinds of training. Do maybe some intergenerational programming, so we get grandparents and their grandkids to come in and do stuff, seminars like first-time home buyer kind of seminars. We're also embarking in a really cool project tomorrow, and that's so exciting, where we're going to be taking all of the information about our books and putting them online. And this is a huge step for Nahant. Most other libraries in the area already are online, and you can request a book from home, or if you hear about something on the radio or in a magazine, you know, you could just quickly look it up and request that. And we don't have that capability right now, and we're going to start tomorrow. So we have an old card catalog, and that's what we use now, but it's not the best way to access information. And we want to make sure that the kids in our community have the ability to search for information the way that everybody else searches for information, so that when they're on their own, they can get that information the best way. So we start tomorrow. It's exciting.
So if people want to see a little bit of history before it goes away, they should come in and see the card catalog now.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we all have fond memories of card catalogs, you know, but I haven't used one in a day-to-day basis since I was in middle school 25 years ago. So it's not an up-to-date resource. It's cool, and it's definitely fun to be around, especially if you love books, because you have that memory of flipping through the pieces of paper and doing that. So as an artifact, it's a really fun thing to have. But as a way of accessing information, it's a little old-fashioned. So someday in the future, that card catalog will be gone. But rest assured, everyone, it's not original to the building, so it doesn't have any historical significance except for our memories of what that meant for us when we were doing research.
And so why else do you think people love the Nahant Library? Why should they come in and check you guys out?
Well, you know, people love to visit the island and, well, come and see the building because it's gorgeous. But I would hope that people come because of the people who are in it. We have, you know, really fun staff. People are really knowledgeable about the library. They all love books. They're all, you know, great people, and so hopefully that will be part of the experience as well. And of course, you know, the library is more than its building. It's what happens inside of it and what you can bring home from it. And you know, we have so many ways of getting information, and the library is one of the key ways. And so people can come in and take part. They can teach themselves things. They can read for fun. They can come to a program and be entertained. Like, there are so many different ways a library works in your own life. And if you haven't been in a while, I would encourage people to come in and see what can happen.
Definitely. It's a great community resource.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, and then, like I said, the Nahant building is beautiful,
Yeah.
so I encourage everybody to go and check it out.
Yeah.
And thank you for
thanks for
taking
having
time
me.
to
It was great fun.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rachel Pennellatore, and I'm here with Alyce Deveau from the Swampscott Library. Welcome, Alyce. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just start and introduce what your position is with the Swampscott Library and how long you've been there?
Sure. I'm the library director in Swampscott, and I've been at the library as long as I can remember. I started there in 1983, so I've been there for quite a few years, but not as director. I became director in 1997.
And what are some of the recent changes that you've seen happening at the Swampscott Library?
Well, since I became director, we renovated the library, and we added a wing and placed the children's room in the basement, which it had been private to that in the top floor. So we made that room a meeting room, so we're allowed to have programming now that we didn't have space for before, and the children are all in the basement. We've decorated a little. We have a beautiful mural in our children's room that was done by local artist Yeti Frankel, and I think Yeti's done work in the Danvers Library and the Lynn Library, beautiful murals. And we've recarpeted and put new lighting in, so we've done quite a few renovations over the past few years.
Yeah, it looks like a lovely new space.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the online programs and the online resources? I think that's one of the strengths you guys have there.
We do. We have quite a few online resources. We also have a Wi-Fi set up so that somebody comes in and uses their computer, they have free access to the internet. We have Mango Languages, which is a great program where people can learn a language if they just want to learn a few phrases, if they're going for a quick trip someplace, want to be able to find the ladies' room and where their hotel is. Or if people really want to learn a language, they can do a more dedicated study following through with languages. It's all self-instructed, it's all online, and as long as you're a resident of Lynn, a resident of Swampscott, you can use it. If you're a resident of Lynn, I think Lynn Library may be offering it as well pretty soon. You follow along with this Mango. But even if you're not a resident, you come into the library, you can use it in the library itself. We also have a lot of historical databases, ancestry. A lot of people want to track their heritage, and we have a lot of those databases. We have a set of databases where you can learn a lot of instructional things, how to be a bartender, how to be a dog groomer, and they're all self-instructed as well, and they're very popular for people using them in the library.
So it sounds like it's a great resource for students and anybody else in the community for just about anything. It's not just the print books anymore.
No, we've realized there's more to the world than just the print book. So.
But speaking of the print books, I think what is unique about the Swampscott Library is the number of book groups and book clubs that you have. Can you tell us a little bit about just the number of groups you have and the different kinds?
Sure. We have 5 book groups at the library right now, and for a small library, that's quite a few. We have a young adult book group for the young teens, those that are coming out of the children's room into the adult room. So that's one of our book groups. We have a book group we call the Dinner Detective. It's a mystery book group, and people bring their dinners, and we meet at 6 o'clock on the first Tuesday of every month, and they eat, and we provide coffee and dessert. And so that's another book group. We have a popular titles book group, which is run by Izzy Abrams, and they tend to read just the most popular books, and that group meets on Tuesday evening as well. We have an afternoon tea and book group, which I really geared more for our seniors who didn't want to come out at night, and especially in the dark during the winter, so that we meet on a Tuesday afternoon. And then we have one last book group is called The Next Generation, which we tend to incorporate more technology into the book group, which is kind of a little different. We had scheduled this week an author talk. We were going to do a phone chat with Margot Leafsey. We had to reschedule it, but the author calls in and we can talk about the book with her on the phone, which is kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, so it's nice to have, the interaction with authors and other people in addition to the readers.
Exactly.
And for people who may not be as keen on the book groups, you also have several community groups that meet at the library as well, right?
We do. We have a lot of activity. The library's a pretty busy place for such a small little library. I just left from a knitting group. We have knitters that meet every Wednesday morning. A lot of them do volunteer knitting. They're people who are getting older. They don't have people to knit for, but they still like knitting, so they come, they'll knit hats and scarves and mittens, and they donate them to a lot of the charities around. We have a historical group that meets the first Friday of every month, and they come and talk about the history of Swampscott, and they record it, and it's really just a fun group. A lot of these people have lived in town all their lives, and they know a lot of history, and it's really a fun group for them to get together and talk. So we have quite a few groups, non-book groups meeting at the library.
And so those meet sort of on a regular basis, but just in general, you guys sponsor a lot of community events and sort of one-time activities and deals like that. So what are some of the either ones you've had recently or ones that are coming up that might be of interest to the community?
Yeah, we do have a lot. I'll tell you, honestly, January, February, we don't do too much programming because of the weather. We kind of tend to put a hold on once we hit December through February. But we just last week we had a man who did JFK experience, and he comes in the person of John Kennedy. He does addresses, he answers questions. He was very good, and a lot of people really came and enjoyed that. We've done a few wine and cheese tastings, which tend to bring in a lot of people. We did a wine, cheese, and chocolate about a month ago, which was very successful. Maya, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right now. She did the wine, and Amy Peterson, who's a local person living in Nahant, did the chocolate and provided a lot of instruction to people. It was really fun. People really enjoyed it. We've done a lot of plant flower arranging. We've done a lot of things on the history of the town. We're in the Olmsted area of Swampscott. Frederick Law Olmsted set up this town, so we do a lot of programming centered on the fact that we're part of this historical area. A lot of different programs.
So I think another unique feature of what Swampscott has is your large collection of Russian materials. So can you tell everyone sort of what things you have available for the Russian community?
Mm-hmm. Probably in the early 90s, there was a large influx of Russians into the town. The director at the time had gotten a grant to fund buying some Russian books. So a lot of the Russian community, as they came into Lynn and Swampscott, came to the library knowing that we had a Russian group. Since then, it's a very large population that use our library. We have books, we have magazines, we have newspapers, we have videos, we have CDs, and we also have a Russian-speaking librarian. Elena was a librarian in Russia, and so it's been an unbelievable resource for us. We have a part-time Enoch Krashman who also works at the library, was Russian-speaking. So because we have the Russian speaker as well as the Russian materials, a lot of the Russians in the entire area come into the Swampscott Library. We have probably one of the larger collections of Russian books outside of Lake Newton and Brookline.
It's really interesting. And
Yeah.
so I know to run all of these programs and events, you have just an amazing pool of volunteers. So how do you schedule those? How do you get your volunteers? What sort of things do they do with you at the library?
Yeah, our major group is the Friends of the Library. The Friends of Swampscott Library support all of the programs. They're the funding. If we have to pay a performer or pay a speaker to come, the Friends fund it. They also fund all of our food, coffee, whatever. I'm a firm believer in if you feed them, they'll come. So we do a lot of feeding people when we have an event. But that aside, that's one component of our volunteers. The other one, we do have a lot of people who come and just help. They come to the library to volunteer. They'll come and help shelve books. We have a few women who come and cover books. We have some people who come and do administrative tasks, filing, photocopying, things like that need to be done. And we do have Susan Connors, the assistant director. She kind of oversees the volunteers who come to the library. A lot of students who come, especially during the summer. Parents want them to have something to do, so they ask if we can use them. There's always something to be done at the library, so we use a lot of volunteers. It's kind of a staple in keeping us running.
So with all of the groups and book clubs and community events and things, what sort of impact do you see this having on the library and the community of Swampscott in general?
The book groups, the programs increase our circulation. People are in the building, and so while they're there, they take out things. They take out books, they take out videos. And that's kind of my whole reason for doing these programming. We want people to come to the library to see what we have. So sometimes that will bring people in. I don't do programming outside the building. We only run one program the whole year that doesn't take place in the building, and that's a band concert. They do that down at the beach because the building's not big enough for a band concert. But everything else is done in the building because I think that's what our purpose is to get people there. When I became director in '97, we saw the need in town for a community center. There wasn't one. There isn't anything in Swampscott that kind of answered the needs of a community development. Now the senior center is in town, and so that's, of course, a good resource for townspeople. But at the time when I became director, we had nothing. So all of the programming was done at the library, and it's increased our circulation unbelievable. We're probably the only library in the area whose circulation of materials has gone up every year for the past 3 years. With the influx of e-books and online, circulation in libraries of materials has gone down, but in Swampscott it continued to go up, and I think it is because of all the programming.
That's excellent. So what would you say to people who maybe haven't been to the library in a while and are unsure about coming in? What would you say to get them to come in the door?
Oh, come in. We have so many things. We have a ton of DVDs for people who don't like to read. We have books on CD for people who are traveling. People are commuting. There's always new books on CD. It passes the time when you're there. We have current magazines. We have a couple of copies of People. We get them all delivered, and we always keep up with the current things. And because there's so much activity, you'll always find something to do. I mean, you may not be a big reader, but you may be a knitter, and you may not be a knitter, but you may like to watch movies. We do film series over the years, and even with the children, there's tons of children programming, and there's always something happening at the library, so they should come in and see.
So if people are interested in finding out when these events and programs are happening, how can they find that out?
We always have press, the Swampscott Reporter, the Lynn items, Salem News. We always run what we're having at the library. We also have a bi-monthly newsletter. It comes out 6 times a year, and it always gives updates on all the events that are happening at the library. If you're a member of the Friends of the Swampscott Library, we mail that newsletter to you. If you're not, they're always available inside the door. It gives a listing of every program we're having for those 2 months, day, time, if you have to register, if not. We're having a program next Tuesday evening. It's on early childhood literacy for parents who want to start to make sure their children learn to read correctly, to instill a love of reading in them. So things like that are always advertised, always in the newsletter, and always available for people.
Well, they sound like a lot of fun. I hope to be able to get to one myself soon. So
That'd
thank you for coming in and chatting with us.
Well, thank you for having me and letting me tell you about the Swampscott Library.